wanna sleep in, cause I got something to prove. I gotta take what I hate and finally make a move. I think of you and all the shit you don't do.
Hey, this is Zach Pasquarello. Good, how are you? Yep, can you hear me? So what do you guys have going on? Yeah, okay, go ahead. No, you go ahead. Do you drive the truck? Is this what you're doing full-time right now? This is like your full-time business, full-time job? Why are you exclusively running with Amazon? Why don't you run with other brokers? No, definitely not. I would not recommend going under someone else's authority. You already have your authority. I'm assuming you're probably pretty close to 30 days old at this point. Yeah. Instead of running under, because someone else, if you run under someone else's authority, they're gonna charge like at least 20%. So if I were you, I've got a pretty good dispatcher who specializes with box trucks. Maybe you could try connecting with him, but also at the same time. And he's going to charge you 10%, which is pretty standard for a box truck dispatcher. But at the same time, are you on the DAT load board? Are you trying at least to connect with other brokers? Okay, so first of all, in order to book loads off the DAT load board, I think managing your expectations is going to be really important. Going into it, I always tell people this, you need to anticipate spending 2 to 4 hours every single day trying to find a load for your box truck. So if you're telling me you sent a couple emails, you made a couple phone calls, didn't hear anything back, it sounds like to me like you don't need to run under someone's authority. You just need to spend a lot more time trying to find loads, because it's not easy. It's not complicated to dispatch a box truck, but it's also not easy to dispatch a box truck. All it takes is time. 2 to 4 hours every single day. You're gonna need to make 30, 50 phone calls, send dozens of emails to brokers, but it's possible. And you'll be able to find a load going 400 miles that pays $800, $900. Like, you will be able to find that, and it'll take you to another major city. So it's not like Amazon that's taking you to a post office in the middle of nowhere and you can't find anything. Like, you'll be able to find loads going from metropolitan area to metropolitan area, paying decent. You just got to put in the work. You got to put in the time finding those loads. You got to make the phone calls. So I feel like if you're going to try to run under someone else's authority, it's kind of like taking like a shortcut, kind of trying to take an easy way out, but you're going to end up taking a shortcut and you're going to lose so much money if you do that. So I would just if this is your full-time job, if you're just driving a box truck, like, seriously, wake up at 5 a.m., spend 2 hours looking through load boards, emailing brokers, and then as soon as you find a load, great. But then as soon as you get to the shipper, while you're waiting to get loaded, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, get back on the DAT load board. Call more brokers, email more brokers. Like, every second that you're not driving, you just need to be looking through the load boards for the first 30 days, first 60 days. As your authority gets older, as you build relationships with brokers, then it'll be a lot easier for you to book loads. But at least for the first 30 days, the first 60 days, you just need to accept the fact that you're going to spend 2 to 4 hours every day looking at the load boards, emailing brokers, and talking to brokers on the phone. That's what I would do if I were you. Yeah, absolutely. If you're willing to go over the road, that's even better. You're gonna struggle. If you're gonna try to be home every night, you're gonna struggle. I mean, you've already seen it with Amazon. You're deadheading 100 miles back home and you're spending probably 60, 70 cents a mile just on diesel. And so, if you deadhead 100 miles back home, you're spending 60, 70 bucks on diesel just to get home. So that's not profitable. So yeah, if you can go out for a week, if you can go out for 2 weeks, I don't know what your family or home life is like, but if you're able to do that, you'll be able to increase profits substantially if you're able to do that. Oh, then absolutely, yeah. Go to Chicago, go to Wisconsin, go to Ohio. That's where all the good freight is. Yeah, if I were you, I would not try to rent a semi-truck. The only way I've seen truly renting vehicles is profitable is if you're driving them. But if you're going to try to rent a truck and hire a driver and potentially outsource the dispatching, you're not going to be profitable. So I would try to run this box truck for a couple months, save as much money as you possibly can, and then use the money that you've saved as a down payment. You're probably going to have to spend 20 to 40% as a down payment for a semi-truck, but you could probably find a decent semi-truck for $70,000. So if you're able to save like $15,000 to $20,000 in the next 6 months, then you'd be able to save up enough for a down payment. But I don't think you'll be able to be profitable if you rent a semi-truck and hire a driver. What'd you say? Well, I suppose we could talk theoretically all day, but do you know how much it's going to cost to rent a semi-truck? Do you have a way of calculating your cost per mile? Do you have a way to calculate your cost per mile? Okay, so we can. I feel like we could talk what ifs all day, but the best way to answer these questions is just with numbers, and it's super simple to calculate your cost per mile. I mean, you already know how much your truck costs. You already know how much diesel costs. I'm assuming you already have insurance. And I mean, if you want, I think we have an entire hour. We've got 45 minutes left. If you want, I can walk you through my cost per mile calculations, and then we can see exactly how much it's going to cost you per mile to run your truck. I think that'll be the best way to answer these questions. Okay. Yeah. So first of all, I don't make any decisions without looking at my cost per mile first. This is, in my opinion, the most important thing that I do when it comes to making decisions and trying to run my company, because you can run on intuition all day, but really at the end of the day, business is all about the numbers. I always try to run my decisions through my cost per mile. So I'm going to pull up my spreadsheet real quick, and I can send the spreadsheet to you after the call if you want. It's super simple to use. I don't know how familiar you are with Microsoft Excel, but it just has a couple formulas. It's nothing crazy, just adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. But the whole idea behind your cost per mile is it's very straightforward, exactly how it says. It's literally your total cost divided by your total miles. So this enables us to know, okay, it's going to cost me $2.50 every mile I drive. So with that knowledge, obviously I can't take a load paying less than $2.50 a mile. But if I want to make $1,000 a week, then we can enter in those numbers and we can find out, okay, what rate per mile do I need based on my cost per mile to make $1,000 a week? And that, to me, is incredibly valuable. And that's how I make all my decisions. Enough talking about it. We will just jump right into it here. So I've got my cost per mile up on my screen. I know you can't see my screen, but I'll be able to walk you through it. Like I said, it's very basic. So first and foremost, do you want to talk about your box truck or do you want to talk about your semi truck? Okay, so about how many miles? Do you want to talk theoretically, like in the future, what do you want to do, or do you want to talk realistically, like what you've done in the past? Okay, so on average, how many miles? Yeah, that'll be a good segue. So we'll start with what's already happened in the past, and then we'll kind of move to future planning. So first of all, on average, how many miles do you drive? 700 miles per week. Yeah. Okay. How much? I don't know what state you're in, but on average, diesel right now is like between 4.50 and 5.50 a gallon. What's diesel like in your area? Okay. Do you have a special fuel card that helps you get better diesel? Do you want to say $5 a gallon, or do you want to say $5.25 a gallon? We'll just use $5 a gallon as a rough estimate. Like I said, this is not an exact science. This is just kind of a general calculation. So my box truck gets 7.6 miles per gallon. Do you know your miles per gallon for your box truck? Okay. We'll just use 7.6 miles per gallon. And then how much does your truck cost per week? $11.50. And you're driving the truck, right? How much does your insurance cost per month? Do you have a factoring company? That's not bad. Are you paying for a dispatcher right now? So with you renting your truck, do you pay anything in maintenance? All right. So right now per week, so you're running. Oh wait. What kind of rate per mile are you getting? You're like. Okay, whenever you told me that you're driving 700 miles, I need to know total miles, not just loaded miles. So would 700 miles a week be total or loaded? Okay, that's fine. So with your numbers, we'll just assume you're driving 700 miles per week, and at $5 a gallon and 7.6 miles per gallon, right off the bat, you're spending $500 for diesel, and your truck costs you $11.50. Right from the beginning, we're close to $1,600 just in the cost of your truck and diesel. $1,600, and if you're driving 700 miles and getting $3 per mile, then you're only making $2,100. So right from there, we've got $500 left over. Weekly insurance cost based on $1,300 is $300. And then in addition to that, we'll just assume that tolls, you're paying like 5 cents a mile. It's just a rough estimate. So tolls $35 and your factoring fee is $55 based on 2.7% of $2,100. So your cost per mile, with this information that you've given me, based on 700 miles, your cost per mile, it's costing you $2.86 just to run your truck. So if you're making $3 a mile, then you're only profiting $100 a week, which based on our conversation already, you said that you feel like you're just barely breaking even, which that sounds about right. So I just added up, how much you're spending on diesel, your truck, your insurance, tolls, and your factoring, and your total cost is $2,000, and your total mileage is 700 miles. So 2,000 divided by 700, that's where I got the 2.86. That's your cost per mile. The biggest issue that you're having is 700 miles is way too low. So I had a box truck doing local deliveries, and he was driving 200 miles a day. bare minimum. So I would at least try. I mean, if you're running your truck every day, you should at least be driving 200 miles a day. And even with Amazon, in my area at least, there's quite a few Amazon loads that, you know, in Harrisburg, and then they'll deliver they'll do like 4 or 5 stops, and they'll kind of make a circle, and they'll come back to Harrisburg. So I don't know if you're able to find something like that, but if you're able to find an Amazon load like that, that would be a lot better than going from, you know, Philadelphia to the middle of nowhere. State College, I would have to look. I mean, the Amazon Relay load board changes constantly, but Amazon Relay is also like the worst place to get loads. Like, I always tell people, Amazon Relay should be your last resort. Like, only in case of emergency should you be going to Amazon Relay. Really, if you're willing to go out for a week or 2 weeks, all of your problems are going to be solved if you get a good dispatcher. Because if you're able to go out for a week or 2 weeks, okay, so we talked about what you've done in the past, and it's obviously not good. You're barely breaking even. Like, you're not even making any money. So let's talk about what you could do in the future. I think that'll be a better use of our time now, because what you've done in the past, you're not going to continue doing that. So if you find yourself a decent dispatcher, or, I mean, honestly, you don't even necessarily need a dispatcher. Like I already said, you just need to spend 2 to 4 hours every day dispatching your truck. But, you know, let's just say for the first 60 days, you're going to use a dispatcher because your authority is still new and you're not very experienced. And I'm going to share my dispatcher with you guys, and hopefully he'll be able to hook you up and get you over the road. But seriously, you can drive 500 miles a day if you have a good dispatcher. So if you're willing to put in the work, if you're willing to drive the miles, that's a great idea. That's exactly what you should do. That's perfect. That's a great idea. Do you want me to show you the numbers if you're running, you know, like you should be over the road long haul? Okay, so we won't say 500 miles a day. We'll say 400 miles a day, because I've been running my box truck over the road since August of 2021, and consistently I've been able to get 2,000 miles every single week. So, like, very consistently 2,000 miles every week. So if you're able to get 2,000 miles per week, pretty much all the other numbers stay the same, except obviously your fuel cost will go up because, you know, you're obviously driving more miles, but the amount of money you spend on insurance doesn't change based on how many miles you drive. The cost of your truck, now, do you have to pay per mile, or is it a flat fee for the rental? Okay, so that's pretty significant. So it's $11.50 plus 30 cents per mile after 1,200 miles. 30 cents per mile. That's going to be pretty significant, but we can add that into our calculation. So we'll do 1150.3 times, you know, whatever the difference is after 1,200. Okay, so now we're closer to $1,400 a week because of the extra 30 cents per mile for the 800 miles. But that's okay. So $1,400 a week for your truck, but you still don't have any maintenance costs because you're renting your truck. Your weekly insurance is going to stay the same. You're going to spend a little bit more on tolls just naturally because you're driving more. You're not going to have a dispatcher because your brother's going to dispatch for you. Your factoring fees are going to go up because you're just going to be making more money, but that's fine. So driving 2,000 miles, let's say you'll make $2 a mile, which is doable. It's doable for sure. It's doable. That puts you at $780 profit per week, and that's not. I have an Easy Pass. I don't know what else you would do because if you don't have an Easy Pass, then the toll booth is just going to send you a letter in the mail, and it's just going to be a real pain in the butt to pay it. So I don't know why you wouldn't get an Easy Pass unless you're going to get something different, like a different transponder for your windshield. But you should definitely have at least something. I mean, I do. I don't know. What would be the alternative to not Easy Pass? Yeah, the Easy Pass is primarily for the East Coast, but I mean, you're on the East Coast, so I would get an Easy Pass if I were you. Yeah, so $780 a week is what your profit's going to be if you're able to drive 2,000 miles a week and you're able to make $2 a mile, which is definitely doable. But that's not very good. So I've seen numbers a lot higher than that, but it's a little bit lower because you're renting your truck. So you're spending in 1 week what I spend in 1 month on my box truck. So you're spending, like, by renting a truck, you are spending a lot of money. So renting a truck should only ever be short-term, temporary, while you're waiting to save up enough money or waiting to build up your credit to buy your own truck, because you are just, for lack of a better term, you're wasting a lot of money by renting this truck. It's not very cost efficient because $1,300 a week, like I said, like a lot of truck payments are even less than $1,300 a month if you get a traditional loan. But still, I mean, $780 a week. I mean, you're not going to get filthy rich doing that, but that's a decent amount of money. That's better than breaking even, $780 a week. And we can look. So if you're willing to run even a little bit harder as we increase the mileage, your fixed expenses don't really go up a whole lot, but your profit will increase substantially. So if you go instead of 400 miles a day, if you're able to drive 500 miles a day, then all of a sudden you're making $1,200 a week instead of $750 a week. So it really comes down to who's dispatching your truck, how many miles can you get, and the driver, how efficient are you at driving, picking up, getting unloaded, not wasting time. So if you're able to hustle and drive 500 miles a week, if your dispatcher's good and gets $2 a mile, you'll be able to make $1,200 a week. But if it's slow and you're only driving 2,000 miles a week, you're only going to make $780 a week, $780 a week. So it's going to be difficult, okay? It's going to be difficult for you to get a loan for the CDL truck for two reasons. For three reasons. One, your business is new, like you already mentioned, you're less than 2 years old. Two, you don't have a CDL yourself. And three, you don't have any experience. Your business doesn't have any experience having a CDL truck. So you might be able to get away with it. If your business is young and less than 2 years old, you might be okay if you already had a semi truck and you wanted to get a second one. But this will be your first time, so there's a lot of risk associated with your business right now. And I had the same issue. I really struggled to get funding for my truck. My credit was great. I had cash in the bank. I had plenty of money for a down payment, but the best offer I got was 50% down payment and 20% interest, which is terrible. I would rather sell a kidney before I paid 20% interest and 50% down payment for anything. So what I had to do is I had to buy my CDL truck with cash, the first truck I got. That was my only option apart from paying 50% down and 20% interest. Unless you want to buy the entire thing outright, I don't necessarily see, and you're going to have to pay a pretty substantial amount of cash. So let's just say, for example, you get a CDL truck. So I bought mine for $65,000, which is a good deal. But let's just say you can find a truck for $65,000. At the very least, you're going to have to pay 20% down if you get a great loan. So that's $13,000. At the very least, you're going to have to spend $13,000 as a 20% down payment if you get a good loan. Now, there's ways around that. You can get a cash loan from a local credit union or a bank. Like I got pre-approved for a $20,000 cash loan at 8% interest, which that right there, that would be enough to cover your 20% down payment. But I always caution, it's very risky to take out a loan for the down payment and the actual truck because you're financing 100% of the truck. So that's very risky, but if you're willing to take on that risk, it could potentially pay off. The second option is to get a line of credit. So for me personally, I was able to go to Wells Fargo and get a $20,000 line of credit at 8% interest. So right there, I was able to secure $40,000 worth of funds at 8% interest, and that would be enough for a down payment for a truck if you wanted to go that route. And it all depends on your personal tax returns. It depends on your credit score. It depends on your ability to negotiate with the loan officer and talk your financials of your business. But if you're able to do all those things, you can get the money from the banks. If you're not, $13,000 is the bare minimum you're going to have. And then worst case scenario, like I said, 50% of the actual value of the truck potentially might be what you have to pay as a down payment, and that's $32,000. So you're going to need between $13,000 and $32,000 cash to buy a semi-truck. Yeah, so how much money you're able to spend on a monthly basis is obviously based on two things. It's based on how much money you make and how much money you spend. So it largely depends. I mean, you could make $1 million a day and it wouldn't matter. If you spent $1 million a day, you'd still have $0. So it all depends on how much money you spend. I don't know what your personal budget is like, but if you make $4,000 a month and you only spend $2,000 a month and you're able to save $2,000, then it would take you 6 months to save up $12,000. So subtract that from how much? How much are you getting? Yeah, so you have $2,900 left over. So in order to get, it's very simple. You just take 13,000 divided by $2,900. So it could take you, if you need to save up $13,000, or if you need to save up $32,000, it'll take you 11 months. So it'll take you probably between 4 and 11 months to save up enough money to buy a semi-truck. Sure. Yeah. We'll talk about renting a semi now. Okay. So two things are going to change drastically. How many miles you're able to drive per week and how much money you're going to get per mile. So you will easily be able to get 2,600 miles per week, easily. And then on top of that, you will easily be able to get, not easily, but you can get $3 a mile. Okay. Now, the other thing that's going to change is your miles per gallon. So a box truck gets 7.6 miles per gallon, but a tractor only gets 6.4 miles per gallon. Anywhere between 6 and 7 miles per gallon let's just use 6.4 just to play it safe. Your insurance will go up. So I was paying $1,100. My insurance increased by $600. So we'll add $600 to your $1,300. So we'll make it $1,900 for insurance. And how much did you say it cost to rent the semi-truck? Plus the extra mileage, 30 cents per mile. Okay, so you're spending $1,700 a week on this tractor. But you're not going to be able to, let's just assume it'll be the same as the box truck. Now, but you don't have your CDL, right? So you need to hire a driver. Do you have a driver in mind? Do you know of someone you're going to hire? Oh, that's great. $2,450 to find you a driver, and then you're done. And then he's yours. That's great. How much per mile are you going to pay your driver? Okay, I pay my driver 58 cents per mile, so that's probably a good place to start. Is he going to be a 1099 driver or a W-2 employee? So you're going to have to get payroll, and you're going to have to get workers' compensation insurance. Both of those things are pretty expensive. Payroll, you're going to pay 7% in payroll tax on top of his wages, and workers' comp insurance is 5%. So if you pay him 58 cents a mile, let's just assume that you're paying an additional 12 cents per mile in extra fees. So we'll just assume that you're going to pay him 70 cents a mile. Okay, so the numbers are in, the results are in. Let's see here. So 2,600 miles per week, definitely doable, over the road. $5 a gallon for diesel, 6.4 miles per gallon. You're paying your driver 70 cents a mile. Your insurance costs $1,900 a month. Your factoring fee is 2.7%. So every week you're spending $2,000 on diesel, $1,700 on your truck, $1,820 on the driver, nothing on maintenance, $440 a week on insurance, $130 a week on tolls, just 5 cents per mile. You're not paying a dispatcher. Your factoring fee is $210 just based on 2.7% of revenue. So your total cost is $6,350. Your total miles is 2,600. So total cost divided by total miles is $2.44 a mile to run your semi-truck. $2.44. And we already discussed making $3 a mile. So if you're able to make $3 a mile and you're paying $2.44 cost per mile, your profit comes out to be $1,400 per week. No, that's great. You're not driving. Yeah, so that's great because you're not even driving. So you're still making $1,440 and you're not driving. Versus you were the one driving the box truck and you're only making $780. You're going to be over the road, you're going to be driving every day, and you're going to be making $700 a week. I think there are probably other ways that you can make $700 a week without driving a box truck. Especially because, so people rent a truck because they want to get in the game. But if you already have a semi-truck, you're already in the game. There's no sense in you driving just to stay in the game whenever you are in the game with the semi-truck. Does that make sense? Like if you didn't have the semi-truck, I would say, yeah, in order to grow your business, you have to drive this truck. But if you're going to be growing your business with the semi-truck, I think there are better ways that you can make $700 a week. Now, if you were to buy a box truck, then I would say, yes, drive that box truck because you will make probably closer to $1,500 a week if you buy a box truck and drive it. You can be incredibly profitable with a box truck that you've purchased. But if you're going to continue renting this box truck, you're just going to be continuing to waste a lot of money. Well, if you're going to use a staffing agency to find you a driver, then you don't have to worry about having a backup because they should be able to. So, perfect example, my semi-truck. My driver quit at the end of March, and in 7 days, my staffing agency found me a replacement driver. So if you're going to use a staffing agency, you don't need to worry about having two drivers because they'll find you one. If they're good. Hopefully they're good. And if you want after this call, I can send you an email with the staffing agency I use. They're located in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. I can give you their information. They'll be able to help you out too. Now, with all that being said, $1,400 a week sounds amazing, and it is, but it's not guaranteed. That's just best case scenario. That's just assuming everything goes according to plan. Now, for me, my clutch had to be replaced in the first month that I bought my used truck. And I get it, you're renting a truck, so you're not going to have any maintenance issues, but I had to replace my clutch and my driver quit in the first 2 months. So things never go according to plan. If you're really trying to start this business, I would encourage you to look at this business like you're not going to make any money for the first 6 months. So don't quit, don't quit your job, don't quit your business, don't quit running the box truck if you are only relying on this semi truck to be profitable, because I'd be willing, like, you're gonna fail if you do that. It's way too risky. You need to have another stream of income to support you and your expenses. I know you said your expenses are really low, but still, you cannot rely on the semi truck, because if your driver quits, if your truck breaks down, if you're not making money for 2 or 3 weeks, you're gonna be so stressed out, freaking out, not knowing what to do. So you need to have at least a backup plan for 3 to 6 months while you're getting your semi truck started and operating. I really, really strongly recommend you have a backup plan, have another way to make money just in case.